up for a pregnant woman in the bus, the excessive bombing of Beirut in the First Lebanon War, giving a standardized hezbollah for a genuine gadol, making a hero of someone who had murdered Muslims at prayer, or being intellectually dishonest, to name just a few of the failings he addressed in his sichot in the Beit HaMidrash and in the written media. The world about him was subject to moral scrutiny based on clear Torah values, and he was unexpected in a world where people are expected to take standardized positions on issues. A halachic Jew can have no empathy for the psychological difficulty encountered by homosexuals or unwed mothers who wish to be part of the religious world. A Rosh Yeshiva of a Hesder Yeshiva can have no empathy for Arabs and understands that brute force is necessary in times of conflict. And a rabbi who quotes Milton is obviously not respectful of the Gedolei Torah of the Haredi world. And obviously, a rabbi need never reveal to the non-knowledgeable that Yahadut has a polyphonic textual tradition and canon which includes multiple voices. I would like to suggest that many of the moral issues on which my husband Rabbi Aaron took a stand were directly related to the Israeli public arena, and he was indeed also a player in the political process. And for the first time, B'nai Chutz La'aretz were witnesses to how a Yirei Shamayim could be part of a secular Jewish state, wholeheartedly celebrating Yom HaAtzmaut on the one hand, while on the other hand cognizant of the obvious difficulties that were an integral part of such a situation, called its leaders to task when they failed to pass muster. He scrutinized what was happening in the public area, kept his peace, and then, after having thought the matter through, took a clear, and unequivocal stand on the issue, no matter who espoused another, but to his mind, misguided position. The issues, to mention just a few, were sovereign shetila, conscientious objection by soldiers, relationships to secular Jews, or how one understands Jewish history. The other positions were posited by such diverse people as Harav Shach, Prime Minister Begin, Harav Shapiro, and Harav Kook. B'nai Chutz La'aretz have different challenges. Those that have faced religious Jews and communities who live in a Christian society, irrespective of whether there was separation of church and state over the centuries. At Yeshivat Har Etzion, these young men were exposed to the intricacies and subtleties of Ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem. Coming to the land that was given to us by the Almighty obligates us to live by the divine word, not only as individuals, but as a polity. And they witnessed how, from the very Beit Midrash, where they were challenged to scrutinize carefully each text, to see how it was related to other texts, to understand the implications of their words, the same careful scrutiny was applied to the world around them, to society and government, to its political and religious leaders, clearly and unequivocally. And that society and government were in Eretz Yisrael. And the third factor I would like to suggest was the clear and obvious difference in the educational experience that the Chutznikim, as they are affectionately called, experienced at Yeshivat Har Etzion. The young men who arrived every Rosh Chodesh Elul were experiencing for the first time an unadulterated yeshiva experience. There are a myriad of unadulterated yeshiva experiences in the United States, but they are an expression of the Haredi worldview. But in our world, while I do not wish to enter into a discussion of the merits and the drawbacks of a dual program, there is, to my mind, no doubt that a dual program demands that the Ben Torah bifurcate himself, while a single program allows him the luxury of immersing himself in a single-minded manner. And yet, I would like to suggest that it was not only the single-mindedness of the rich program they were exposed to, but Reb Aaron's attitude to Torah and culture and knowledge that played a major role in his influence on his Talmidim. Reb Aaron did not believe in synthesis, was not a fan of Torah and Madda, never considered himself modern Orthodox. He, as the Rav before him, did not like hyphenated words. He was a man of Torah and Yirat Shamayim that Shlomo Fisher has very astutely characterized, committed to, quote, to intellectual and analytical Torah study and to high general culture, the latter providing a universal foundation on which the particular Jewish edifice can rise and rise much, much higher. I believe that the clarity of vision that Torah is the lodestar of our existence, the ability to encompass and to be enriched by the best of what the general world had written and thought about man and his destiny, the ability to be part of the Jewish polity while being firmly anchored in the Beit Midrash, where the unique qualities that could only have come into full play in an institution that was molded and shaped by Rav Aaron in partnership with Harav Amital. It was only in an institution that was predicated on the assumption that Bnei Torah had to participate in the building of the state, and that moral imperative at times takes precedence over the immediate command of Talmud Torah, and that the needs of Klal Yisrael are of import, could the full meaning of Ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem have the impact that it did. It was only in an institution that was predicated on the assumption that the centrality of Talmud Torah was unquestioned did the moral message have greater impact. Being a partner in the building of a Jewish polity was no reason to suspend moral judgment that was firmly rooted in halacha, or a reason to glorify or justify that state. It was only in an institution where both Rashi Yeshiva gave clear and unequivocal messages, yet neither was afraid of difference or of being different, that students were exposed to the simplicity of life and to the complexity of life. There is one great certitude, Yirat Shamayim v'ahavat Torah, and as for the rest of it, my friends, there is no easy formula or simple answer. It was only in such a setting in Eretz Yisrael that this was possible. When we left the United States so many years ago, so many decades ago, I am sure that my husband Reb Aaron did not realize the full implication of his decision as I have spelled it out this evening. However, he did know full well that he wanted to be part of the making of Jewish history. And indeed, he did become a player on that playing field, and a good one at that. And in conclusion, I want to end where I started. The deep bond forged between my husband and his Talmidim was as meaningful to him as it was to each and every one of you. He loved you no less than you loved him, and your love, devotion, and respect are precious to me, to his children, and to his yeshiva. Yehi zichron ner l'radleinu.